This is Tanveer Muhammad Masood once again, and today I'm going to talk on another very important topic, very interesting topic. It's basically about health uh, complexities and issues that crops up with every individual nowadays. I'm going to speak on a disease, or rather on an allergy. We call it basically. It's basically about asthma that I was talking about. Now, asthma, as we popularly call it in English, it's basically about an allergy in an individual, which is basically found in young kids these days, and even with older people. In fact, there is no age barrier with this allergy, and the symptoms of this allergy is that it often comes with a dizziness in breathing. There is a little uncomfortable level in the breathing of that particular individual, and what exactly happens as a result is that the person becomes, or rather feels real dizzy while breathing, and up to that there is a little cough and cold symptom as well, and as a result of that, the person, or rather the person suffering with that allergy, basically gets a little exhausted pretty fast, rather than other individuals who are non-asthmatic. And traveling is a bit difficult for them. It's not for all of them, but people who are very asthmatic, who are basically suffering from acute asthma. Basically, these are disease basically found in older people, people who are very old in age. They basically find it really very difficult to travel very far, and this is because the level of asthma and the level of uncomfortable level in their body, as far as asthma is concerned, is very high and acute, and that's the reason why they find it real difficult and really difficult to travel very far away. And in a crowded environment, they feel a little uncomfortable, real dizzy. And I thought weight loss is another result and outcome of this allergy. Though this allergy is basically not curable from its root, there are certain way out in Ayurveda and Hamdard medicines these days that basically provides a real very good way out in as far as the cure of this or the remedy of this disease is concerned, and it's basically a very good way out. As I said, this Ayurveda and Hamdard medicines these days are basically giving this guarantee that they are going to take this, or rather they are going to remove this allergy from the root of its problem. From the root, this problem of or this allergy would be rooted out. Medical practitioners and doctors are basically of the view that since it's an allergy, it cannot be remedied from its root. There are opinions that differ from person to person, from doctors to doctors, though none of them are basically quite convinced that it is indeed very harmful and it's going to stop, or rather bring a halt to the normal functioning of day-to-day life. But yes, people who are a little asthmatic are basically very scared, or rather I should say they are basically very prone to difficulties that might arise due to change in weather conditions, for example, if the daytime is very hot and at night it's very cold, then people who are suffering from this allergy would find it a little difficult. Though younger young people who are of the age range starting from their 20s to their 50s or 60s, they might not find it real difficult to adjust to the changing weather conditions. But yes, people who are very old, or people who are of the age range of 80 to 100 or 80 to 90, they might find it a real difficult one to adapt to the changing weather conditions. Cold conditions, extreme cold conditions and chilling conditions would be a real difficult one for them to adapt to. People who are basically very old, and as far as younger people are concerned, middle-aged people are concerned, they might have this energy. Their the strength to adapt to this held to this changing weather conditions. They might not find it a real difficult one, but yes, they need to be very cautious while they travel, while they uh, go to other parts of the world in conditions where there are very finicky weather conditions prevailing, where the weather conditions keeps changing every now and then. Moving from extreme hot conditions to extreme cold conditions might not be a good one for them, since this is the root of the problem of this disease or this allergy, because it all starts when the temperature, when the weather conditions keeps changing, and it keeps changing at a swift pace. Like for example, from cold conditions to very hot conditions or humid conditions. These are basically not quite good for people who have this allergy, though it's not quite good for, as I said, for old people, but younger people have this strength of taking the bull by the horns and trying to adapt themselves to any sort of weather conditions, and they might not face that difficulty level in adapting as the older people would. And another factor behind the prevalence of this disease or this allergy is the certain bad habit with certain people. For example, not going to the washroom on time, or trying to suppress one's nature's call, or not going to pee, or not going to the nature's call at time. Indeed, creates a lot of health complexities in the long run. And asthma is one of them. Suppressing the nature's call or the bathroom is indeed a real bad habit, which is quite prevalent in these amongst people, amongst certain people who are leading a very fast life these days, and they are not going to the washroom. This, in fact, is creating health complexities, not for that particular individual, but other people who are sitting around them, and in fact, they get affected and impacted by the by that bad habit of that person. And in fact, it creates allergic situation like asthma. It's but logic. If the waste product, if the waste material releases from our body, we would really feel it very easy and comfortable to breathe properly and to breathe very comfortably. This is but common science that we have all learned during the basics of our school days. All in all, if we exercise properly, if we have a proper diet, proper food on time, or try to um, make ourselves cleaner on time, we would certainly find it not that difficult to get rid of this allergy. Though it's an allergy, it can be gotten rid of after a certain span of time. Strong perfumes are also not advisable for people who are a little asthmatic, as also conditions wherein there is a very huge level of drastic change, or rather a drastic transformation in the climate condition is not quite suited for them. But yes, as I said in the very beginning, that there are certain people who are of the middle age, or people who are quite strong enough to adapt themselves to try and face any sort of abnormality in weather conditions. They are quite adaptable, and unlike their older counterparts, which who are basically not quite strong enough to take the bull by the horns.